After the events of the Fourth Corporate War, in 2025, the engram of Alt Cunningham would establish a place called Ghost World in the ruins of bio-destroyed Hong Kong, a place rumoured to house various AIs and victims of Soul Killer. Everything biological in Hong Kong is believed to be dead, while the Chinese government put a 100-foot wall around Hong Kong to keep the plague contained. The lore of Hong Kong leading up to the events of the bio-plague remain elusive. China was undergoing a significant period of internal conflict. The Maoist loyalist cabal, or simply MLC, who were in control of China, targeted Hong Kong for takeover. First, they had infiltrators sabotaging banks with smuggled bombs. Then they progressively built up a presence, using the non-unionized labor as an ideological base. The Hong Kong corporations tried to prevent the MLC meetings, but this failed. By 1995, most of Kowloon was in a state of civil war, and the MLC army proper had taken over Canton. The remaining corpos tried sealing off Hong Kong Island itself, and the civilian and skilled population that could flee did. Many of these refugees went to Singapore or Taiwan. In 1997, the MLC army spilled over into the new territories and swept through the countryside to Kowloon Bay. For the first time, the Triad leaders put aside their differences in the face of their common enemy. They turned the Wan Tuk shipyard into a miniature naval base to carry out attacks on the mainland. By this time, the Hong Kong forces had demolished all the tunnels and bridges linking the island to Kowloon. With the ships they could muster, they kept the MLC limited to the peninsula. After long negotiations, the Corpos and Triads joined forces and started building up an invasion force in 2010, led by Gurkha Geisha Gurung. During this time, many of the Corpo businesses were completely trashed by the MLC, but their sub-basement mainframes from Tsim Sha Tsui East to Lai Chi Kok were left intact for the AI friends of Rash Botmos to set up residence. However, in 2013, the MLC leader Hua Yuqi was assassinated, and thus the Hong Kong army raced across Victoria Harbour and fought their way through Kowloon. Liberation was achieved. The Triad Corpo Alliance disbanded, and everyone went back to their old system of covert trade. Militech would set up a regional HQ on the peninsula in Kowloon City, with Arasaka presence directly across the narrowest part of the bay. This would lead to inevitable conflict when Arasaka and Militech would begin fighting in the Fourth Corporate War. Another notable feature of Hong Kong is the presence of a walled city, which might be a reference to an actual walled city in Kowloon that was demolished in 1994, not to be confused with the 100-foot wall currently surrounding Hong Kong. The walled city was a solid cube of residence blocks and stores, 12 stories high, and was often considered an eyesore. It was scheduled for demolition in 1993, but the MLC threat distracted the demolition crews. The residents accumulated smuggled arms and waited. When the MLC rolled through, they were greeted with grenades and rocket fire. The residents had literally sealed the city, so the only way to enter was through narrow hallways where MLC troops were easily dispatched. Furthermore, there were no sympathizers inside the city, and as it was a close-knit community, spies failed miserably. While the MLC attempted siege attacks, the residents had stocked up enough rations to ultimately last until the end of the conflict.